I see by my watch that it is 3 o'clock, time to call to order the Board of Directors regular study session meeting agenda for Thursday, December 14th. Have a roll call, please.
Director Meyerhoffen,
Present.
Director Duff,
Present.
Director Griffith,
Present.
Vice President Sewell,
Here.
President Martin.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
All right. We will skip item 3 since all board members are present and accounted for. And we'll also do the pledge on Monday. Council, would you go over rules of procedure, please?
Yes, all noticed meetings are conducted using Rosenberg's Rules of Order as a procedural guideline. Directors should refrain from responding directly to public comments at meetings of the board. The president of the board presides at all meetings and decides all points of order and procedure during meetings. The president is responsible for the maintenance of order and decorum at all board meetings. No person should be allowed to speak who has not first been recognized by the president. No member of the board should speak more than once upon any one subject until every other member of the board wishing to speak on the subject shall have been given an opportunity to speak. No board member shall interfere with the orderly progress of a board meeting. The board president regulates the amount of time to be dedicated to a particular agenda item.
Thank you, Counselor. Moving on to item 6, public input. This is the opportunity for members of the public to address the board on matters within the board's jurisdiction. Please limit comments to 3 minutes or less. State law prohibits the board from discussing or taking action on any item not listed on the agenda. Do we have any members of the public wishing to address the board?
President Martin, we have no public comment.
Okay. Moving on to item 7, Human Resources Report. Brian?
President will be taking that item on Monday.
Okay, on Monday. Also, on Monday, we'll be addressing item 8, election of Mission Springs Water District board officers for 2024. And at that point, we'll vote for the president and vice president. And that will take effect once a selection is made. That will take effect in January, correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right. We'll do that on Monday. Item 9, Mission Springs Water District Regional Water Reclamation Facility update. Brian?
Thank you, President Martin. TKE Engineering will take care of this item. Terry?
Yep, thank you, Mr. Macy. President Martin and board members, I will share my screen. We'll go over our update for this month. Everybody see that okay?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So for this month, on our update with the treatment plant, we have the IPS, which is the influent pump station crane that was installed. That crane will be readily available to pull out any of the pumps that need to be serviced for that influent pump station. It's on the picture on the left side there. On the right side, we also have our pipe supports going in for the odor control system. So in the following months here, we'll be adding some odor control piping on the top of those support systems. That odor control piping will be pulling all of the potent odor air out of the internal workings of the treatment plant and processing that air so that we don't have a lot of foul odors coming from the site there. On the SBR tanks, at our last update, we had some pictures of the same type of piping that was going in, which is the air piping. So that air piping was completed now. On the right side, we've got our testing pressure, all of a whole 10 PSI. So this system actually runs off of a very low pressure, which is the ALP, air low pressure piping. And then that will deliver a high volume of low pressure air into those smaller pipes at the bottom, which diffuse the bubbles up and give our microorganisms the ability to live and eat the bad stuff in the water. Moving on to the spreading pond. So we do have the splitter box that is nearing completion here on the picture on the left side. That splitter box will receive the effluent flows from the treatment plant and then divert that water into one of the 3 ponds that are currently being constructed now, and then also have the ability to divert it to any of the 3 future ponds that can be constructed in the future. That spreader box also has a meter inside of it, so we can meter all those flows and determine exactly how much water we're pushing out to the ponds. This is a current picture of spreading pond number 1. As you can see, the precise grading is just about complete here. We've got our influent pipe coming up in the center of the pond. There'll be some riprap that they're going to construct around the bottom of that, which will help diffuse the water as it comes up and out of that and then into the pond itself. And then there'll be some minor touch-up grading that they still have to do on this pond. This is a picture of pond number 2 that they're currently working on. So they're working on excavating and removing the dirt so that they can create that pond number 2. That should be completed by the end of this month or early in January there. And then here we have a picture of the pond access road of the low flow drainage crossing. This is a concrete crossing that has a webbed like concrete material. It's got an open webbing inside of there. It'll be filled with sand. It's a little bit more flexible and will help facilitate any of the loads that might come across it in relation to stormwater. And you can see the riprap there that kind of runs around the site. That'll help also slow down that riprap, slow down that water before it can get into any of the ponds. We've got some site finish work that is now started around the treatment plant itself. So on the left side, we've got our SBR tank and the operations building. So they're working on the B ditch or the drainage channel that's going to be facilitating any water or conveyance of any drainage water if it rains through the site. And then on the right side, you can kind of see the remainder of that channel being constructed. On our next photo here, we've got more of our site flat work that's being constructed around the operations building itself on that left picture. And then on the right side, they're working on constructing the stairway up to the SBR tanks themselves. We do have our HVAC system installed now. The left picture showing 3 of the HVAC units that were installed, and the piping has been condenser piping was installed and is being tested, pressure tested on that right picture there. We've got some internal wiring and similar type items that we've talked about at our last meeting. So now they are installing the data communications cables, those blue cables on the left picture. And in the right side, we have one of the showers in the men's restroom that's been tiled and nearly complete there. Moving on to our conveyance line, we did get across Palm, which was a major point of contention between the city and Mission Springs. We wanted to make sure that that went through very smoothly, and actually did get some glowing reviews from staff about how smoothly that did go, getting across that intersection as we have a lot of traffic. These are some of the pictures of that work going through the intersection there. Also, we have nearly completed installation of all the force main up to the east end of the project at the tie-in where the current lift station is. So now the only work that we'll have left on Dillon Road would be the Mission Creek crossing that washed out, and we've got all of the items straightened out with the city for that portion of work as well. So the contractor will be dropping back into that area next week and starting that Mission Creek crossing and completing all work on Dillon. For our funding and permitting update for the treatment plant reimbursement requests. So the Q2 invoice was previously submitted. We are currently working with the state on that one. They have asked for a couple of extra documents, which we are putting together right now, and we'll have to them by the end of this week so that they can finalize their approval of that Q2 invoice and get that in for processing and reimbursement. The Q3 invoice for 2023 is in progress. We're putting together all the backup documentation so that we can finalize our submittal to the state on that one. And then for the WDR special provisions on the monitoring well number 3, we did get some good groundwork completed here. The appraisal and negotiations were completed on that, and we are putting the easement acquisition documents together now, which will be brought to the board in January so we can complete that monitoring well number 3, which is going to be a part of this project. And then we also had some positive results on the sampling for the private wells. The private well access was granted by one of the private property owners. So we're currently working on the access agreement for that private property well as well. For phase 2 conveyance line, the funding agreement is expected to be completed and provided back to us by the regional board by the end of this year. And then that'll give us the ability to then start invoicing on this project and submitting for reimbursement requests. And with phase 3, the area M2 sewers, we are just finalizing up those documents so we can get that project out to bid within the first or second quarter of next year. And I'll open it up for any questions.
Any questions from the board? Ted?
Yes, I have a question on Dillon Road from Palm Drive over to the transfer station. Are they going to come back and pave over that again, or is it going to be left like that? I don't know if you're familiar with what it looks like, but it's pretty rough. There's like an inch of drop down and through the center of the street.
Which segment was it? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
From Palm Drive over to where the transfer station is?
Yes, they still have paving work to complete there.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Evan?
And if I can, just to continue with that, Director Meyerhoffen, we did get reports that some of that paving wasn't done. Even the temporary paving wasn't to people's satisfaction. I believe we've reached out to the contractor and they've been able to resolve that, but it's not the final job. But we did respond to some of the complaints we had at that area.
Okay, thank you.
Robert?
I have a couple, and maybe it's just the perspective of the pictures. The ponds, the first one that you showed, how deep is that? It doesn't look too deep, but.
I can go back to that. You're talking about this one here?
Yeah,
I believe it's close to 15 feet deep. I think it's
wow,
probably a little bit, yeah, more of the perspective of the picture like you're talking about. If you
yeah,
look off to that left side, you can kind of see the sloping. It gives you a little bit better perspective on that left side for whatever reason.
okay, yeah, it just looked really kind of shallow to me, but.
Yeah.
The other question is on the drainage, you said, you had the rocks there and then that little crossing and to slow the water before it goes into the ponds. Is that drainage? That's for like stormwater drainage, but that's not going to go into the ponds, is it?
Yeah, sorry, not go into the pond. So this rock is to slow the water so that it wouldn't potentially damage or breach the edges of the ponds and then
Okay.
go into it. So this is going to help facilitate the water going around the ponds.
Okay, and then the third is probably perspective again, the conveyance line is really small to me in that ditch, so what size line is that?
This is a 12-inch pipe.
Okay,
This is the force main. So the gravity sewer that is on Little Morongo is 33-inch and 36-inch.
okay. That's it, yeah. I just hammered.
I also just had a couple questions about the paving, which were answered, and the invoicing, when you talked about the second invoicing for phase 1, could you clarify what specifics were they asking for? Was it just additional information regarding some build items, or were we having to remove build items again?
No, yeah, so there was actually one of the scans of a document or a backup document wasn't clear to them, or it wasn't readable, so they asked us to provide some clarity on those documents, give them a clearer scan on it so that they could properly read it and add it for reimbursement.
What was the amount of that invoice?
Offhand, I don't know. I'd have to get an exact number for you.
Okay, thank you.
I have one more question.
Okay, Ted?
This is actually for General Manager Macy. Some people are interested in knowing exactly what are in those ponds. Could you explain the separator and how they're, the sludge situation and what is actually sitting in the pond?
What actually is in the pond is secondary treated effluent. It's not sludge. It's not anything for that matter. It's a clear liquid as it comes out of the clarifiers and goes into that. So it's been treated and it's been approved for release, and it meets the requirements required by the state.
So when you say influent, it's clear, it's water that's been separated from the sludge.
Correct,
Sits in
correct.
the
It's
pond.
gone through the entire treatment process, both the screens at the front end of the plant, the biological treatment in the middle, and then of course the settling of the sludge before it then gets released into the pond. So it's a clarified effluent.
Thank you. I know some folks are a little mixed up on.
Yeah,
what you
it's
said.
not, we're not just putting
Right.
it into ponds and letting it go. No, it's been treated and been approved for discharge.
Thank you for that explanation.
Anything else? Anything further, Brian?
No, thank you.
Okay. Moving on to the item 10, Critical Services Center and Administration Building Update,
We would like to have that discussion on Monday as well.
Monday. Okay. Item 11, Cannabis Pre-Treatment Program Discussion.
Thank you, President Martin. I'm going to ask our Manager of Engineering, Eric Weck, to take this item. Eric?
Yes, good afternoon, President Martin. Good afternoon, General Manager Macy and members of the board. Today, I will be going over a couple items with the industrial discharge, and I have a PowerPoint slide here. Let's see.
While you're doing, okay, good, Eric. I was gonna say, we have handed out our industrial discharge red line version of the document, and it is present here for any members of the public and will be posted to our website next week once we do some final revisions, if there are any from the board, between now and Monday. Go ahead, Eric.
Thank you, sir. Can you see this slide okay?
We can, thank you.
Okay, great. So staff has been making some efforts to update MSWD sewer service rules and regulations, which are within ordinance number 2008-02. What we're discussing today is a draft change to the sewer service rules and regulations. And there are 5 articles that were updated in 2009. One was updated in 2016. And so what we're bringing you today is an updated Article 6, which pertains to industrial discharge regulations. Article 6 is being revised from 2 pages to 7 pages, which is only clarifying language and changing some of the regulated discharges. There is nothing being deleted or removed from Article 6. So we're just adding more clarifying language. So some of the big items that are being revised, there's about 4 items that I'm going to be going through. And some of the major changes include, and you should have a handout in front of you. But some of the major changes include section 6.01 titled wastewater, industrial wastewater, which we were revised to section 6.03 industrial waste. And this section updates the definition of industrial waste to include agricultural operations or any operation where wastewater discharge includes significant quantities of waste of non-human origin. Secondly, section 6.02, titled Permit for Industrial Connection, was revised as application for industrial discharge permit, and the new section number will be 6.05, and it provides additional detail and clarifies the waste discharge report. We have always asked for information from developers and industrial facilities, but it wasn't as clear enough in Article 6 as we liked. So the industrial discharge permit application process will include specific information about facilities and the proposed operational equipment, such as like raw materials that they're going to be using, chemicals used and stored, as well as wastewater flow generation and wastewater constituents, and as well as these industrial facilities maintaining their pretreatment monitoring. The third major revision pertains to prohibited industrial discharges, which is currently section 6.03 and will be revised as section 6.04. Now, there are going to be three constituents that will be added to the current list. So as you can see here on the left, you should see current constituents. These are the items that we're interested in testing in industrial waste streams. The one on the right are the proposed ones that will be in the new Article 6. So the new ones will be ammonia nitrogen, total nitrogen, and total dissolved solids. Now, total dissolved solids is the one that really interests us the most, because every 5 years we work with the regional board to update our permit for our 2 plants. This will allow us to amend all permits to be compliant with the new treatment facility requirements. So I discussed the constituents on the left and the right, and then finally, industrial wastewater section 6.01 will be revised to say industrial waste section 6.03. And this section was added to reserve the district's right to amend conditions of the industrial discharge permit for industrial waste producing facilities. So this is necessary because as new regulations come down from the Regional Water Quality Control Board, this will allow us to amend section 6 in the ordinance to reflect future updates as the Regional Water Quality Control Board updates them. So, what are the next steps? We're going to be seeking comments from the public. And so we're going to be proactively reaching out to industrial facilities and notifying them of the availability of this draft on the MSWD website. And then we're going to be starting the public hearing notice process. And then we'll send out we'll do a notice of public hearing for the amended ordinance, which will be section 6. And then a board meeting where we're going to be asking for the revised ordinance to be adopted. And more than likely, it'll be in the March 2024 board meeting. That concludes just a brief overview of the revision to section 6 of Ordinance 2008-2. Are there any questions?
Ed, any questions? No. Evan?
No questions. Just thank you for this. I think it's very thorough and something we definitely needed. Thank you.
No?
I do have a question because it's a little confusing to me. The different colors, but in 603, it's in the black portion. That first sentence there, any person desiring to discharge industrial wastewater into the public sewer or upon request of the district, any person shall be required to submit an application to the general manager. That does not make any sense to me. Is that any person, should that not be there the second time, or can you explain if it's supposed to stay, what that means?
Sorry, what section was that again?
6.03, it's the first, it's the first section, first sentence in black ink.
Any person or user desiring to discharge industrial waste into the sewer. Okay, so this goes into what one of the items I discussed. So if there's someone that's going to be discharging industrial waste, whether it's metal plating or cannabis or whatever, MSWD will be requiring them to submit in an application to us, presenting information on the characteristics and as well as their what materials they're going to be using that are going to be generated in this waste stream, and they need to submit that to MSWD for us to look at.
Okay, I understand that, but
Okay.
any person desiring to discharge industrial wastewater into the public sewer or upon request of the district, any person shall be required. Is that any person the second
Yeah,
time?
it's the wording needs to be reviewed.
That should,
Yes.
if you take that out, then it makes sense. Is that,
We will rework this because, to be honest with you, to the general manager, it doesn't necessarily have to come to me. It just has to come to.
it just
So we'll-
grammatically, I'm trying to
so-
figure out what we're trying to
I
say.
think we were trying to hold on as much as the original ordinance as we could, and this
Okay.
just happened to be there, but you're right. When you read it out loud, the clarity is lacking, so we will actually rework that before it gets.
And maybe just got rid of those two words, you'd be okay.
Okay.
That's it.
Member?
First of all, I want to thank staff for all the very hard work that's been put into this, and it's been a long time coming. I know there's many in our community that are very excited and holding their breath for this to happen. March is going to be hard for them to swallow, but I'm glad that we're here. Couple questions. Eric, you did see the other facilities policy that I obtained and forwarded that showed the prohibited industrial discharges and the common industrial discharge grid. Do you know what I'm referring to?
I vaguely do.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
I am happy to re-forward it. The concern that I have is the actual format of this information. I believe we need to have some sort of an actual box grid that's going to list them and their maximum allowables, and then list what's not allowed separately. The A, B, C through K, it's not popping out enough on the page for the users to be very clear and be able to post in their facilities for all of their employees. If we want them to use this as a management tool as well and follow the guidelines, it's got to be something that can be used, and they won't replicate it themselves. They'll use our information.
That's good.
That will be easy enough to modify. I'm sorry, we're looking at it right here. Yes, we can take the text out of this and turn it into
Into some
just a
sort of
grid.
yeah,
That's not a problem.
completely
whatsoever.
just formatting concern is at that part. And then I do have some questions, and it may be that we have further discussion on this later because it's not really discussed in here. I know that they will be required, the industrial user will be required to test and maintain records of the tests that they do. Who in MSWD will be doing inspections of that on a periodic basis? Will be going and looking at their documentation and verifying? Will it only be when we have a problem, or will we be doing this on a annual basis, making sure that we're staying on top of them doing the paperwork correctly, that they're understanding it correctly?
We will be part of that process, but so will the regional board, because some of this is considered a hazardous waste. Some of those hauling agreements and things like that fall under their preview. So we'll be working hand in hand with the regional board to make sure that we get all the documentation. Our staff will be actually performing inspections of these facilities and doing testing of what's coming out to make sure that it's not exceeding what these pre-treatment limits require. So it's going to be a joint effort, and we constantly are working with the regional board and making sure that all the Ts are crossed and all the Is are dotted by these.
And I know that the regional board is watching this very closely and are very, I don't want to say excited, but looking forward to being able to turn over some of this local oversight to us. So that'll be a good step to have more local control over our precious aquifer. The other concern that I have is we talked, and I haven't, I just got this
No,
before the meeting,
yes.
so I'm sorry for the kind of all over the place here, but the other concern I have is when we're talking about costs and how we don't really know what additional costs, I'm trying to find it, charges and fees, we don't really know what those are going to be yet. We are adding this to the master financial plan that's being reviewed right now.
Yes, yes. When we're trying to recoup fees and things of that nature, yes, we will add these types of inspections to that.
Perfect.
There's one thing that's not in this, and there is an enforcement article in this ordinance
Mhm.
that talks about per day costs and things like that that are punitive. But yes, the review and the inspections and stuff like that will be part of the long-range financial plan, and we'll be passing that fee with all the other fees that we'll be updating in that process as well.
Yeah, I don't want to make this unaffordable, but I do need it to not be on the backs of all the other customers in the district. So I just kind of want to put that out there as well for the public watching that, you know, there is costs to doing this correctly and to continuing to protect our groundwater, which is number one of importance to all of us here. And so thank you again to staff. But we need these industrial workers to work with us and be disclosing to us of their information so that we can get this right. So we don't have to be doing this again and again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So let me add to that. When we were talking about outreach, there are roughly 40 just over 40 industrial users that have to abide by these documents. With that number being just over 40, reaching out to each one of them and then following up with phone calls and trying to get all the benefit we can to them and start those types of engaging conversations is something that we're going to be doing before we bring this to you in March. So we're going to try to get as much information from them and be as helpful as we can. So this document is something that's be useful to them, but I appreciate your comments.
I've been working on that for a year. I've got a list of names and phone numbers that have already agreed to participate. So we will get this done. Thank you so much.
Anything further?
No.
Okay.
General Manager Waste Mason.
Yes.
If I may add one more thing. Director Duff, you mentioned something a little earlier about some reporting and some annual reporting. Section 6.13 titled Reporting Requirements should have some information for you about your question. And I can read it if you like. An annual report shall be completed by all permit holders and submitted to the district no later than January 15th of each year. Annual reporting shall consist of supporting documentation of all pre-treatment and/or processes used, maintenance performed, including pumping, haul-off, physical inspection, repairs and sample analyses of characteristics of waste, flow measurements, and other information required by the district or specified on the permit.
Anything further?
No, sir.
Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda, there are 5 items on the consent agenda: the approval of minutes from 3 different meetings, the register of demands, the annual report of capacity fees and related capital expenditures, and ordinance 2023-01, ordinance of the Board of Directors of Mission Springs Water District, adopted pursuant to the provisions of the Water Code 20201 et sequitur, providing for compensation to directors of the district. And item 16, the Board of Directors meeting schedule. Does anybody want to pull any of these items for discussion today? I have another opportunity to do so on Monday. Hearing,
I can pull the register of demands for today unless they would prefer to go over it on Monday.
yeah, that's fine, whatever you want.
I would like to go over it on Monday.
Okay.
I'm still kind of looking at a few things and thank you.
Anything else? Okay, nobody wants to pull an individual item for the discussion today. We'll have another opportunity after you've had a chance to peruse the items over the weekend. Director's reports. Does anybody want to do their director's reports today? Ted? No. Adam? Monday? Monday, all right. General Manager's report. Brian?
Thank you, President Martin. Before I turn it over to Arturo for our finance report, I just wanted to update you. We continue to work with the city and the roadway improvements related to the Hillary. I also met with the city manager. It's the first time I've had a chance to sit down with him since he took over his new position. That was very nice opportunity to get to know him a little bit better than I have in the past. So that was fantastic. I appreciate him taking the time. The supplemental environmental project, the connection for 12 properties from septic to sewer have been completed. We'll be bringing to you the notice of completion next month. Also, Chrome 6 comment letters are due tomorrow. We're going to be providing 2, or at least participating in 2, one from our district, as well as participating in the Coachella Valley Regional Water Management Group's group letter. So we'll be getting those out tomorrow, and we'll be providing copies of those on Monday. With that, Arturo, would you like to give a finance report?
Thank you, General Manager Macy, President Martin, members of the board. I will be going over the financial report. Share my screen. This looks different. Here we go. Can everybody see this?
Yeah. Mhm.
This report is now included in the general manager's report on page 114. And it will be just a quick recap with looking at the current revenues, operating revenues up by 2%, primarily the increase in property taxes that we have collected in the last couple of months. Expenses are ahead of budget by 17%, and primarily due to some of the projects that we schedule. If you don't know this, we budget for every single month of the year. And a lot of the times when people are not aware when that expense is going to come, we do 1/12 throughout the year. Well, this is the catch up that's happening right now for those expenses that didn't happen at the beginning of the year that are going to happen later. So that's pretty much the reason for that. So it pretty much catches up throughout the year. Net operating income remains consistent compared to prior year, roughly $2 million. Non-operating revenue is going to be larger than budget through the rest of the year, primarily because of the collections we had for the Skyborn project that fall under the non-operating revenue. Cash remains at $48 million. And the funds that were left over from the $15 million loan remain in the Wells Fargo account, primarily due to the fact that the interest rates are pretty favorable to us. That $17 million that you see in the middle for the unrestricted it's part of it. However, it's not the entire amount. In addition to that, we have those $3 million that we collected in other funds that just add up to that 17. That's the reason why the earned interest is still lower than the paid interest, and we're okay with the state. Additionally, part of the financial report, I wanted to start presenting the capital jobs to the board so that you can see where the efforts are being placed in terms of the expenditures as well. So in the report, obviously, we don't have time to go through everything today. However, if you do have specific questions about any of them, we can cover them. The year to date on the top on section E or column E is the current year total through November 30th of the expenditures for each of these jobs. And just a couple of highlights of the major expenses for the year would be, for example, E11. That's the line of the number of the report, which corresponds to well 42 for 250,000 roughly. Obviously the regional plan at $8.5 million, the conveyance line, $2 million, the well rehab for well 22. And on the second page on E55, the portable booster transfer pump. And like I said, we do have some that are over budget. There's a reason for that. Staff primarily did not include staff time when looking at these projects. A lot of the times we have a contract and that's all that gets in there. Our job request has been modified to make sure that staff time is included because no project is left unmanaged and it requires staff time. But again, here you can see a updated list. Some of these are falling off throughout the middle of the year. Some of these remain because they have a purpose outside of what we've already spent. And we'll be looking at those later on as well, part of the additional projects. But again, if you have any specifics, we can cover a few today, or we can cover, I can send an email to the entire board for any that you might have.
I have one question. I think I know the answer, but all the ones that says paused,
Yes,
the money is in the bank now and it's all
It-
been set aside for the ones that say pause is what I'm getting.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and primarily, if you remember, part of the budget, we had a couple of focused projects that we were going to put all our efforts. These are not, obviously not some of them. These are primarily, that's the reason why they're paused, because others are being prioritized.
So that money won't be transferred over to one that were over budgeted?
Not at all.
No. Okay, thank you.
Evan? Robert?
I have one on item 61. It's on the next page. So the Riverside County Mountain View Resurfacing Project, it says not started. Is there a different one than the one that I'm aware of that was finished?
It's now finished, but the expenses were not coded correctly. We're making a correction right now, so that's gonna be completed here. In fact, the county did come back and give us a refund for part of the project because they did not use the entire amount of roughly $12,000.
Okay.
Amber?
Just one, actually. When we had discussed some of these items in a previous budget workshop, I believe it was, we had talked about the 33 million set aside for the admin building being reduced and allocating that money elsewhere. But I don't see that here.
The total was not reduced. The amount that we said we were going to spend in the current year was, and it will be covered in the mid-year budget review, in addition to in the long-range financial plan. But in total, we have to show it in total based on the reporting. That is over the 5-year plan. However, this year, we can start doing that if you prefer, so you can see matching what we presented in the budget. That's a good idea.
Thank you. Great job. Thank you.
Is it? Okay. Thank you. Moving on to the public affairs update. Marion.
Thank you, President Martin, and good afternoon, members of the board. I have prepared a brief PowerPoint overview today that talks about some of the activities the public affairs team has been working on the past month. Of course, there's additional updates in your packet. Next slide, please. We made it through the big push of November, and now we're entering into December, which is really shaped up to be a month of togetherness. We participated in several community events, including the well-attended Desert Hot Springs Parade of Lights, the DHS Women's Club Black and White fundraiser, and the DVBA December luncheon. Staff also attended the Aqua Fall Conference that was hosted in Indian Wells this year. Next Tuesday, we will host our holiday blood drive, where those who donate whole blood will walk away with a live stream holiday t-shirt. Plus, anyone donating a double red cell donation will also qualify for a $25 gift card. Appointments are still available at lstream.org/MSWD. And we also want to promote our last and final Water 101 of the season. That will be taking place next Thursday, December 21st, and we will be covering planning and regional cooperation. I also wanted to share with you a special thank you from Team Mom Charities. As you may recall, our employees donated monetary and non-perishable food donations to Team Mom, who personally made hot Thanksgiving meals and distributed them to the homeless within our community. Here's a special video from her.
Hi, I'm Team Mom, and I have welcomed to my home Mission Springs Water District, who were also recipients of the Miracle Award this year. They were spectacular all the years that I've spent with them. In 2 days is what we're celebrating at this table right now at my house, getting ready to feed the homeless for Thanksgiving. Happy Gobble Gobble Day, y'all.
Go ahead, thank you.
Hi, I'm Team Mom.
One more. There we go. And as part of our employee holiday luncheon, we also concluded our employee snowflake toy drive. MSWD employees provided more than 40 gifts for boys and girls served by the Riverside County Behavioral Health Services, who focuses on providing quality early learning, building resilient families, and promoting comprehensive health and development for children in our community. Team MSWD stepped up big time to make this a success. I'd like to give a special shout out to Dory Petty and Carol Morin in the Public Affairs Office, who helped administer the toy drive and keep us organized. I would also like to highlight the efforts of our award-winning parade committee and the army of volunteers who helped make this year's float come to life. This year, we did not have a planning chair. Instead, the committee shared leadership duties. This included myself, Dory, Carol, Amanda Lucas, Chad Finch, and Jeff Nutter. They, along with our amazing work crew, Alex Nine, Michael Moore, Julio Martinez, Juan Lopez, Adrian Pereira, Robert Lopez, April Scott, Will Witten, Eric Weck, Charles Bell, Tim Owens, Adam Wagner, and our driver, Fernando Morales, all pitched in time over the past couple weeks to make the float come alive. We had a tremendous turnout of employees and their families the night of the event, and despite Mother Nature's attempt with some wind, we continued our winning tradition and were awarded Best Decoration. This year's float was Grinch themed, and our very own engineering manager, Eric Weck, donned the Grinch costume and made the fans throughout the parade route swoon. This event really is about our community and bringing a smile to the faces of those we serve. And I know I speak for many of us when I say it was very rewarding to see the community come together to celebrate the joy of the season together. I'm also happy to share the fantastic news that damages caused by Tropical Storm Hilary have been successfully repaired at Mission Creek Preserve. Thanks to these efforts, Mission Springs Water District and the Wildlands Conservatory are proud to resume our sponsored tours at the preserve. We have been in contact with our local schools and several educators and principals to get started setting these tours up. We are also promoting this on social media and also on our website. On November 2023, our Water Matters newsletter featured information about the invasive tamarisk tree roots and how to save water during the winter. Our December newsletter will focus on the availability of our 2024 community calendars. And also it will focus on those who are interested in making a resolution of conservation this year. We're offering free conservation kits and promoting our toilet and turf rebates. Last month, Civic Plus, our website hosts, performed an update on the content management system of our website that will allow us to create notifications when we add new items to our website. This includes items like board packets and agendas, job openings, events, press releases, and news items. Right now, we are manually sending out these types of notifications, but this will allow us to automate some of this process and will also allow our customers or our followers to sign up and indicate their preferences for how and what types of updates they would like to receive. This will be a supplemental notification system specifically related to information on our website, on our public-facing website. At my previous water district, we used the same system, especially for board agenda packets, and it was very popular with the community. We anticipate rolling out this new feature to customers starting in January. Go ahead. And since last month, our videos, we had a little bit of a snag. I did want to share a couple of the videos that we missed out on last month. This first one is the City of Desert Hot Springs NBC video that President Martin participated in. I wanted to take just a few moments to show you this video.
Discover Desert Hot Springs, your destination for health and wellness.
Here we have amazing hot mineral water that comes right from Mother Earth.
Having experienced the water, I knew there was an opportunity for us to bring more people to this type of wellness.
This water is truly unlike any other water that I've ever experienced. People that have neurological problems or any kind of muscular problems really get a tremendous benefit from it.
Desert Hot Springs has the best tasting water in the world, and that is not just opinion, it's fact. Mission Springs Water District is how that water gets from underground to the taps. Let's find out how. There may be no other water in the world that is defined by its exceptional quality. To that extent, there's very little process or treatment that goes into the water that people end up using here.
Right. We test our water regularly to make sure that we don't have any contaminants or any problems with the water purity. We are required by law to add a certain amount of treatment to the water. We also protect the hot water aquifers as well. We were one of the few in the Coachella Valley that the state approved our groundwater sustainability plan to protect our water for the next 30 years.
The best tasting water in the world isn't just subjective in this case. There are awards and people who have actually voted it as such.
Yes, every year there's a international water tasting competition in Berkeley Springs, West Virginia. We've won 3 gold, 4 silver, and 3 bronze. And in 2010, we were awarded an award by the American Water Works Association for having won the most medals of any water district in the world.
Brian Edson is the Chief Vision Officer at the Good House. That means that you've got the vision for this incredible boutique hotel. What brought you to Desert Hot Springs?
I think that Desert Hot Springs was always known as a spa city, and we have a few places around us, Palm Springs and North Joshua Tree, that have their own crowd. I think that we have a very special, unique location given our geological location. We sit atop a hot water aquifer, and we have some of the best miracle water in the world. So the big draw for us, we believe in DHS, is the water.
Resorts in Desert Hot Springs are unique. And I don't just mean to the city, but each and every one has its own character and brings a different component of exactly what you're talking about to the table.
We have a majority of boutique hotels. I believe there's 21 that are available in the city, and they're mostly mom and pop owned. So each has their own spin on what is a hot springs resort. Ours in particular is very lush and very green, and we make it feel like home. That's why it's called the Good House.
This is the largest mineral pool in Southern California, and it's cooled down to a consistent 89 degrees. So day or night, year round, it is the perfect temperature.
Even though people in the rest of the Coachella Valley have heard of the water, many of them have never experienced it.
Maria Lease is the owner, operator, developer of Azure Palm Hot Springs. Maria, there are so many things that differentiate Desert Hot Springs from other locations.
There are. Certainly most notably is our incredible mineral water. The water here in Desert Hot Springs is known throughout the world for its healing qualities, for its pureness, for its temperature, its viscosity. It's very silky, it's high in silica, it softens your skin, it's high in all of the minerals that are healing and rejuvenating.
What are the experiences that they're looking for when they come to a hot spring?
Peace and relaxation. They'll frequently comment that they can feel the peace and relaxation right away because that is the emphasis of the whole property. That's why they're coming back also. Throughout the whole property, we have that emphasis, but then coupled with the benefits of the water, you really do feel rejuvenated.
You really don't have to look far to find one-of-a-kind experiences in Desert Hot Springs. This reflexology path is something I have never experienced before. Warm mineral water running through and over individual little stones that massage and touch all the pressure points on your feet.
Discover Desert Hot Springs, your destination for health and wellness.
Thank you. As I mentioned last month, this is being promoted both in Orange County, LA County. Then the city is also going to be promoting it in their city hall and on their social media channels as well. And certainly last but not least, I also wanted to share with you that our conservation and groundwater protection calendars arrived last week, and we have started to distribute them throughout our community. Customers can pick them up from our payment center or throughout town, including the City Hall, Library, Rec Center, Senior Center, and the skate shop on Pearson, just to name a few locations. We are also mailing certificates and copies of the calendars to all of the participants, and we've invited the 12 winners to come by our offices to pick up copies of the calendars and their gift cards. Our first place finisher, Naomi from Desert Hot Springs High School, who you see on my left, she's a gifted artist. She's not a stranger to art contests, as this was the second contest she's entered and won just this year. She loves all things related to art and is equally at home working on sculptures, drawing in charcoal, or painting in acrylics or watercolors. Someday, Naomi hopes to go to college and major in graphic design and eventually become an artist. When I asked her what her inspiration from her drawing was, she said that it came to her in a dream. The night before, she was brainstorming ideas for her drawing, and that, coupled with the fact that she had recently been working on her technique for drawing hands, helped her subconscious to come up with the idea of not letting our precious water resource slip through your hands. When not drawing or painting, she enjoys spending time with her six-year-old sister and mother, two of her biggest fans. She also enjoys hanging out with her friends, but not at the expense of her art. She says she makes sure to draw at least once every single day. Our second place finisher was Mason from Painted Hills Middle School. Mason has one sister and two brothers. And one of his brothers, Jaden, who's in the picture with him from Cabot Yurtza Elementary School, also placed as a finalist in our calendar drawing contest. Being artistic runs in their family, as the boys told me their older sister and their mother also like to draw. When asked what they wanted to do with their gift cards, both boys said they would be buying Christmas gifts for their family. Typical boys both like to play soccer, basketball, and video games, and they love to build things with Legos. Mason has an affinity for taking apart things around the house, which includes knocking down and breaking his little brother's Lego creations. He says he also likes math and art and would be happy to be a professional artist one day. Jaden, being the younger, is more inquisitive and says his favorite subject in school is chemistry, and both say they look forward to entering our contest next year. Our third place finisher, Jose from Painted Hills Middle School, didn't think he had much of a chance of winning an art contest. He's a math enthusiast, and he says he only entered because some of his aides at the after-school rec program encouraged him to participate. With their encouragement, he decided, why not? If you look closely at Jose's design, it resembles his love of Rubik's Cubes, which using his math skills, he can typically solve in under a minute's time. When not hitting the math books, Jose is on the soccer field. He currently plays on a travel ball team in Coachella. Someday he hopes to earn a college degree in mathematics and then become a professional soccer player because, as he put it, hey, why not? These are just a few of the talented artists that participated in this year's contest. And I did put together a quick video of some of the other entries. And that concludes my presentation for today. I'd like to wish you all a happy holiday and thank you very much.
Okay, wait, any questions or comments from the board? Amber?
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Just to echo what you mentioned in your presentation of big thank you to everyone that participated in the float and congratulations. It's always nice to sit up on such a nice float each year, and I think everybody puts in a lot of work, so thank you.
Thank you. I will say that the employees really pitched in this year and not any one person really had a lot of time. So there was just a lot of pieces of a little bit of time here, a little bit of time there. And they really came together. So thank you.
I was particularly impressed with the artwork and some of those drawings I would like to see framed and maybe put in our lobby or something, because they're really not only the message and everything, but their artistic ability is amazing. Well done. Well job.
Good idea. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 19, district council comments.
So we'll have a closed session on Monday.
Monday,
Yep.
okay. Director comments, Ted? This is just comments, not your report on the things you attended. This is your comments on anything you saw today. Okay, all right. Ivan?
Yes, I did want to give a thank you also to all the employees that worked on the holiday committee. I thought it was a nice celebration, and the icebreakers and different activities, I feel like really got everyone involved, and I feel like everyone left smiling. So great job. Thank you.
The only thing I really want to say today is I want to thank Director Duff for all her hard work on this wastewater issue. She's been working on this for a year. And there are things that we do kind of behind the scenes like this that for no compensation, just because I know that's always a big deal. But she's worked very hard to get this here to where it is. And I am very, very proud to work with someone who works so hard. So thank you for all of us. I really appreciate it.
Amber?
Thank you, Director Griffith. Just a couple things. One, I'm passing on information to the public, those who are uninsured. As I'm sure you know, the flu is on the rise, as is COVID-19. And if you could see inside MSWD right now, you'd see all of our employees wearing masks again. But this coming Tuesday from noon to 3 at the Desert Hot Springs Elk Lodge on Pearson, they are offering free COVID-19 shots and boosters, as well as flu shots to anyone who needs them. Noon to 3, Desert Hot Springs Elk Lodge, Tuesday, December 19th. Also wanted to make one comment as a public service announcement, so to speak, on behalf of Marion at MSWD. We are at 48% on customer portal activity, and that's great. But I did notice in the report that there was 181 customers who had high consumption or potential leaks that had to be contacted by our staff. Those 181 customers could have mitigated some cost that they experienced had they signed up for the portal. Everybody go sign up for the portal. Thank you. See you Monday.
Anything further, Brian?
No, President.
Okay, Monday, meeting is adjourned till Monday.